All right, welcome to part two of Crazy Man Acts Like He's Talking to People, but really he's talking to himself. Again, mic problems going in between blue and white and blue. So trying a different mic. Hope the audio isn't too terrible. I think the audio in the last video was pretty good. But let's jump right into it. Blue. A cow pakal. Pakal. First among equals. One blue, two other. Legendary creature, human advisor. At the beginning of each player's instep, if an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, look at the top two cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Cool. So it's not really going to happen at the end of other people's step. I guess there was a few flash artifacts in white. But yeah, it's going to be 1/5 for 3. I mean, if this stays in play, seems like this is going to be artifact heavy set. You're getting a lot of card advantage. You're drawing, you're filling up your graveyard or surveilling. I don't know if you quite... What I'm debating over is if I would call this a bomb. I think close to it. I mean, it's not going to win you the game. It doesn't win you the game by itself being just a 1/5, but it kind of does because you're going to generate crazy card advantage. I guess you only get to do it once a turn. If you got flash, you get to do a little bit more. It's not crazy. I think it's a pretty well-balanced rare. It's certainly good. Yeah. 1/5. 5 toughness is really, really good. Don't attack with it because there's a lot of things that destroy when tapped. And this 5 damage spring-loaded saw blades, for example, you're going to be very sad if you try to poke for 1, and that's how they get to kill it when you could just be getting a lot of card advantage. So don't attack with it. All right, next up, Ancestral Remnants. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card. With the graveyard synergy, the discard is a little better, but I would much rather this be Divination and just draw 2 cards for 3. Being sorcery speed is super slow too. It's okay. If this is a slow format, it's pretty great. But 4 mana is a lot. If all you're doing on your 4th turn is this, if it's a fast format, that's too slow. But from what we've seen in white so far, I think it's going to be a pretty slow format. Brackish Blunder. 1 blue, 1 other. Instant, return target creature to its owner's hand, and if it was tapped, create a map token. I like that. That's good tempo. In an aggressive deck, it's a little bit better. That sort of tempo advantage would be really nice. But I think it's a fine instinct, good cost. I think it's a good common. But yeah, I think it's good. Braided Net, 1 blue, 2 other. Braided Net enters the battlefield with 3 net counters on it. Tap, remove a net counter from Braided Net. Tap another target non-land permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated for as long as it remains tapped. And it has a very low craft cost to become Braided Tripu. I don't know how to pronounce that. Hopefully I'm getting it right. Braided Chipu. Draw a card for each 1 blue, 3 other tap. Draw a card for each artifact you control. Then put Braided Chipu into its owner's library 1/3 from the top, and then it'll flip back over and become Braided Net. Fun design, very fun design. A little slow, but really fun. Fun if you're playing it, not fun if you're getting tapped down all the time. Really slow though, really, really slow. It's a very cool design, but I'm not wowed. I do like the design a lot. All right, next up, chart a course, one blue, one other, draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you attacked this turn. So you're going to cast it before you attack to make sure you get both cards. But hey, if you need to fill up your graveyard, for that synergy, it's not terrible for 2. 2 mana is good for 2 cards. I think chart a course is pretty good. Especially if Descend is going to end up, Descend down here. If Descend is going to end up being Blue's thing, then Chart a Course is pretty darn good. Cogwork Wrestler, 1 blue, gnome, artifact creature, flash. When Cogwork Wrestler enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent control gets -2, -0 until end of turn. Womp womp. This is a dud. Artifact creature helps with all the artifact synergies. The art is very cool, but 1/2 is really lacking. I guess for a 1 mana, what can you ask for? But the ability is not really that great, even with flash. I mean, what they attack with their 2/2, and it's an 0/2, and I can't even kill it with my block on the Cogwork Wrestler. Not that great. I'm sure it'll surprise some people every once in a while, but I think Cogwork Wrestler is a trap. No pun intended. You shouldn't be using it. Confounding Riddle, 1 blue, 2 other, instant. Choose one. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 4. I mean, it's nice that in late game, if this becomes not really a issue, not really usable for the counter, you can still use it. Counters, I think I personally really struggle with using counter spells well and limited. I do not have a good intuition on when to hold back and when to do it. And it always feels like the way they play, I must be broadcasting to them that I have the counter spells. But used correctly, counter spells can be very devastating and limited. So Confounding Riddle, it's okay, but you don't want a ton of them. Council of Echoes, 2 blue, 4 other, 4/4 flying, descend 4. When Council of Echoes enters the battlefield, if there are 4 more permanent cards in your graveyard, return up to 1 target non-land permanent other than Council of Echoes to its owner's hand. So it can bounce both yours and theirs. The bounce is really nice. The flying is really nice. I guess 6 is going to be the 4/4 flying stat line because that's essentially what that 2 white flyer was as well. So, yeah, I think it's okay. 6 is a lot, but it can give you real tempo. You could bounce something on of your own that has an EOB effect. That's really good. It's fine. It's really expensive though at 6. Yeah, I think it's fine. You're not going to want to load up on a bunch of these though. Next up, Deeproot Pilgrimage. Whenever 1 or more non-token merfolk you control become tapped, create a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token with hexproof. I don't think we saw any white merfolk. And we haven't seen a blue one yet. I'm quite skeptical this is going to be any good. It's nice that it's tapped and not attack. So I don't know. Will there be a Merfolk artifact? So you can use it for all those tapping to bring cards into play effects or to create 1/1 counters. I could see there being some bonkers wonky combo with this if you're tapping Merfolks for other value and then it's creating this value too. And yeah, if you have a way to just like tap your creatures to create value and then it's creating more creatures and then you tap them for value and it's creating more creatures. No, it's non-token. Okay, so the one that comes out isn't going to be able to contribute to this. I doubt this is good. You're going to need a lot of Merfolk, but I'm sure there will be at least once when you draft a time when this just goes bonkers. But ultimately, we need to see how many Merfolk there are going to be, but I think it's going to be a little dangerous to take this early. Didact Echo. I mean, not dangerous. It just might be a waste of a pick. Didact Echo, 1 blue 4 creature, spirit cleric. When Didact Echo enters battlefield, draw a card, descend 4. You get 4 cards in your graveyard. It gets flying as long as there are 4 more permanent cards in your graveyard. I mean, it replaces itself. 5 is a lot for a 3/2 flyer. That's not super impressive. And it's not even a flyer unless you have descend. It's okay. It's not good. Yeah, it's not good. It's way too small for 5. And yeah, it draws you a card. I mean, they're replacing yourself. It's fine. I think you'll. This is like in the late 20s of your card. You know, this is your 20th, 21st card. You might cut it, and some decks you'll cut it because it's just a little too slow. Some decks you'll keep it in because it gives you some value. But it's nothing I'm excited about getting a ton of copies. Eaten by Piranhas. 1 blue, 1 other, flash, enchant creature. It becomes it loses all abilities and becomes a black skeleton creature with base toughness 1/1. Cool design, cool art, and it's okay. We already saw some bounce in white with that dog, that pup. So I'm kind of skeptical. And the white card earlier, what was it, putrefy or petrify or putrefy or petrify? I already was a little skeptical about petrify. I mean, it's good, but skeptical of how good it'll end up being. And this is even worse than petrify because they still can attack with this 1/1. They can still chump block with it. So it's not the best, but I'd play it. Frilled Cave Worm, 1 blue, 3 other, descend 4. Frilled Cave Worm gets +2/+0 as long as there are 4 more permanent cards in your graveyard. That's not good. 4/5 for 4. The stat line isn't terrible, but a 2/5 for 4 is pretty bad. And descend, I think, might be harder to get to than people think. I don't think this is very good, Frilled Cave Worm. So far, I was much more impressed with the white commons. Hermetic Nautilus, 1 blue, 1 other, vigilance, 1/4, and you can pump it to give it +3, -3, uncommon. Artifact creature. This is better. This is a better creature than we've seen another in blue. 1/4 is a fine stat line for a 2-drop, especially in blue. And Yeah, the pumping is nice. You're going to feel sad when you pump it and it pings it. I mean, if there's a lot of pinging effects in here, it's less good, but I haven't seen very many. I didn't see any in white. Yeah, there wasn't one white pinging effect. Haven't seen any in blue so far either. So I think Hermetic Nautilus is pretty good, and it's an artifact, so a lot of synergy. Vigilance is really nice. I think Hermetic Nautilus is not bad. I think it's pretty good uncommon. Might be one of the better ones for blue. Counter Hurl into History. Counter target artifact or creature spell. Discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. And Discover is exiling cards is Cascade, basically. Essentially. How is it different from Cascade? Library until you exile a non-land card, that mana value or less. How is it different from Cascade? Library until you exile a non-land card with that mana value or less. That's is Cascade just less? Yeah, Cascade is just less, right? So is this just better? Yeah, it's less than the cascading spell. So Discover is just better than Cascade? What am I missing? Didn't everyone agree that Cascade was a little too busted? And you can decide to put it into your hand. So like, Discover's just better, right? I mean, I wasn't playing Magic when Cascade came out, so I'm not as familiar with it. So maybe there's something I'm missing. But Discover just seems like a better Cascade. And from what I've seen, Cascade is pretty busted. So a counter spell that then lets you discover, I guess it only counters a creature spell, which makes it really bad in any other format. But in limited, that's not terrible. I have a sneaking suspicion this might be really good. I mean, 5 is a lot for a counterspell, obviously, but if you're also putting into play, if you're hitting your Frilled Cave Worm, or, what do you really want to hit? You want to hit your, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of good things to hit. Your God. You have a God. I mean, if you're hitting your Frilled Cave Worm, I mean, I guess it's like okay. But still, it's definitely a 2-for-1, right? Because you lose that spell and then you counter 1, so it's a 1-for-1, so it's a 2-for-1, essentially. I think Hurl into History might be good. Inverted Iceberg, 1 blue, 1 other. When Inverted Iceberg enters the battlefield, mill a card, then draw a card. Craft with artifact. Okay, mill helps you descend. When Iceberg tap and text, you may tap or untap target artifact or creature. 6 is a lot, but 1 blue, 1 other isn't much. It replaces itself and you draw a card. I think Inverted Iceberg is pretty good. I mean, it doesn't do anything. Again, if it's a really fast format, it's not so good. Slower format, Inverted Iceberg is pretty strong. You want them because you're helping yourself descend. It's an artifact synergy. I mean, it doesn't do anything by itself when it's just laying there on the board, but I think Inverted Iceberg could create quite a bit of value. I mean, and a 6/6 on turn 6 isn't terrible and limited. Whenever it attacks, you can tap or untap target artifact or creature. I think Inverted Iceberg is good. We'll see. I could be terribly wrong. Kitesail Larcenist. 1 blue, 2 other, flying, ward 1. When Kitesail Larcenist enters the battlefield for each player, choose up to 1 other target artifact or creature that player controls for as long as Kitesail Larcenist remains on the battlefield. The chosen permanents become treasure artifacts with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color, and lose all other abilities. So they can still sack it, get rid of Kitesail Arsonist. I mean, the ward 1 is good. It can fly, but 3 mana for this is a little slow for 2/3 in terms of being aggressive. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's obviously good, but we're talking a rare here. Yeah, it's playable rare. It's good. And based on some of the rares and Walls of Eldraine being playable, it's by itself good. Lodestone Needle. 1 blue, 1 other. When Lodestone Needle enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target artifact or creature and put 2 stun counters on it. Not great, but let's see what it crafts into. Target creature you control explores, activate only as a sorcery. That's really good, right? I think. Okay, so what's the craft cost? 3? Exile another effect, control 1 effect, card from the graveyard. Well, I think this. This is interesting. Man, I just don't know. I think it's all right. I think this is one of those cards that has a high ceiling and a high floor, depending on how well you play it. There's a merfolk in this picture, but we have yet to see 1 merfolk creature. Malcolm, Alluring Scoundrel, 1 blue, 1 other, flash flying. When Malcolm, Alluring Scoundrel deals combat damage to a player, put a chorus counter on it, draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 4 or more chorus counters on Malcolm, you may cast the discarded card without paying its mana cost. That's really good. I mean, yeah, Malcolm is awesome. Rare. What you want? Is that rare or mythic? I think that's. In this one it looks rare, and this one it looks more mythic, but I think that's rare. Great rare. Exactly. I mean, seems like there's a fair number of flyers so far, so he may not be able to deal combat damage that easily, but even just doing the discard is not bad. You get your descend going. Malcolm is good. 4th time's a charm. I mean, I really doubt you're going to actually get to the 4th time very often. I mean, 2/1, they're going to deal with it, or they're going to put something in its way. But that's really not the point. The point is, for 2 mana, you give them something that they have to deal with, or else you're just going to start creating really great value. So, yeah, Malcolm's good. He's really great. What do you want from a rare? We're already Brine Fang, 2 blue, 5 other. That's huge. 7 costing, ward 3, island cycling 2. Well, the island cycling makes it good. The end. Good common. You want it, especially if you're splashing a 3rd color. Merfolk Cave Diver. 1 blue, 2 other. Whenever a creature you control explores, Merfolk Cave Diver gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. So we got our first Merfolk. I mean, can't be blocked is nice. If you can get a lot of Explore together, this is not a bad card to complement it. Yeah. If there's a way to generate a lot of exploring, like Lodestone Needle, for example, I mean, if for 1 mana, if you can explore Merfolk Cave Diver every turn and he's beating you, that's actually pretty good. So depending on how much exploring you have, Merfolk Cave Diver becomes very dangerous. 4 toughness is pretty big. Explore, if the creature you're exploring is the Merfolk Cave Diver, then it gets even bigger and harder to kill. So I think Merfolk Cave Diver actually could be pretty strong. Oaken's Siren, 1 blue, 1 other, flying, vigilance, add blue, only to cast artifact spell or activate the ability of an artifact source. So kind of ramp and flying, vigilance. He's okay. He can sneak in for a point of damage and still use them to ramp your artifacts. You don't want too many of these because they're not that high impact. But to fill out your 2-drop slot, I think is he or she would be fine. It. All right, we got I think that's the god. Yes, Oger Pakpatik. Oger Pakpatik. Very sorry if my pronunciation is terrible. Deepest Epoch, 2 blue, 2 other. Legendary god, flying. So the white one had vigilance, so let me predict. White will have vigilance, blue will have flying, red will have haste, black will have menace, no doubt. Green will either have trample or reach. I'm going to say trample. So green trample, red haste, black menace. Let's see. We'll see if I'm right. Whenever you cast an instant spell from your hand, it gains rebound. Exiled as it resolves at the beginning of your next upkeep. You may cast it from exile without paying its mana cost. Bonkers. When Oger Pakpatik dies, return it to the battlefield tapped and transform under its owner's control with 3 time counters on it. Remove a time counter once a turn, and then you can transform it back. Really good. I mean, Mythic God Bomb, what do you expect? But a little bit more manageable than the gods. I think, what was it, Amonkhet or whatever, when the first gods. I think these gods are a little bit better balanced for limited. A 4/3 flyer. I mean, the rebound, I think, is really the most dangerous part. And I think that the rebound is better than the counters. I mean, the counters can get really out of hand, but I feel like the rebound will happen more often. When I'm talking about the white god. But this one is inevitably coming back. Like the white one could never come back if you control the creatures. But this one inevitably is coming back, but this one's slower. White one can come back next turn. This one is going to take at least 4 turns. So that's nice if you're playing against it. I mean, 4 turns is a long time in limited. So I think with Oger, you don't really care about losing card advantage by turning it into a land. You just turn it into a land as soon as you can, kill it, get it out of here, and you got 4 turns to prepare for whenever it comes back. That's what you got to do. Orazka, Puzzle Door, 1 blue, artifact, tap 1, sacrifice Orazka, Puzzle Door. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Not good. Yes, it helps you discover, but there are much better cards to put in. This is blues. This is blue. Not going to make the cut in your deck, I don't think. Out of Air, 2 blue, 2 other. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a creature spell. Counter target spell. 2 blue counter spell is strong, only a creature though. Out of air, it's okay. I still like the hurl better. It's okay. Pirate Hat, 1 blue, 1 other. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature attacks, draw a card and then discard a card. Equip Pirate 1, equip 2. So product. So Merfolk Looter Hat that has to attack. I don't think this is very good. I think Pirate Hat and Orzhov Puzzle Door are both kind of trash. Yeah, trash. I mean, equipment. Yeah, I think it's trash. And, you know, with the white cards, even the ones I didn't think were that good, I don't think were trash level. So far, if I'm ranking the colors, I'm more impressed by white than I have been by blue so far. Relic's Roar, 1 blue. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a dinosaur artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/3 in addition to its other types. 3 toughness, not a lot, but 1 blue is really nice. It can turn just a unassuming artifact into something that blocks and kills. It can come over with the damage, but ultimately, so. I don't usually like these effects. I don't think they're very good. They can be good in the right format. There's a lot of things to consider. I mean, if the general power and toughness of creatures is pretty low in the format, then these spells become a lot better, in my opinion. Ultimately, though, I'm not impressed with this, but it is good that it can turn a non-creature artifact into it. It's just going to be it's just like, okay, so you killed one. I mean, at best, it's kind of a removal spell. If Izzet's thing, again, is spells matter, then a card like this gets a lot better since it's so cheap. So if you're doing like Izzet like that, but we'll see. Relic's Roar. I don't think it's great, but it also seems like one of those cards that I'm gonna not think is great, and then it gets used against me a lot, and everyone else realizes it's good, and I get destroyed with it. I don't think it's good. River Herald Scout, our second Merfolk. 1 blue, 1 other. Merfolk Scout. When River Herald Scout enters the battlefield, it explores. Okay, so kind of like the white one, but it can only do it to itself. Might not get a +1/+1 counter, might just get a land. It is a Merfolk. Maybe there'll be other Merfolk synergies. I do think I remember seeing Lord of Atlantis being a special guest. I don't know if special guests can be in draft packs. I think River Herald Scout is going to be a fine common that you play, but if you're overloaded on 2 drops, it might end up getting cut from time to time. Sage of Days, 1 blue, 2 other. When Sage of Days enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one of those cards back on top of your library, put the rest into your graveyard. Not impressed. 3/2 is not the best stat line. I mean, you're putting 2 cards in your graveyard, so if you have reasons to justify, like you've got some really great, what's it called? Not Discover, Delve. What is it? What was it? Delve. What was it called? Descend. If you've got some really good Descend cards, then Sage of Days is obviously better. But if your deck isn't Descend focused, I don't think Sage of Days will make the cut. Self-reflection, 2 blue, 4 other. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Can I just say, I really don't like this. I really don't like this search bar. Oh, go away. Go away. I don't like all this pre-order stuff. But let's see. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of those cards in your hand. Oh, wait, we've already done this. Self-reflection. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Flashback. I mean, the flashback makes this a lot better. 6 is a lot, but you get to copy your best creature. Problem is, I haven't seen a lot of creatures worth copying in blue. So that's really going to affect its ceiling. If you got the God, then, I mean, but that doesn't work, right? Because it's a legend. So you get to copy your best creature. The flashback saves it from being a trap. I think it's okay. But you got to think about your deck. Shipwreck Sentry, 1 blue, 1 other, human pirate defender. As long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn, Shipwreck Sentry can attack as though it had defender. Not great if you have an artifact heavy deck, and especially if you have 1 or multiple cards that can generate artifacts on their own. I think she can be included, especially, you know, 3/3 is a fine stat line at 2 to just be a blocker and just help you ward them off until you get your game plan going. So she's awkward, but Shipwreck Sentry can work if planned around well. Sinuous Benthesar. 1 blue, 5 other. When Sinuous Benthesar enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of caves you control, plus the number of cave cards in your graveyard, plus put 2 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's, I mean, if you don't have any caves in your graveyard, or if you don't control any caves or in your graveyard, it just does nothing. You look at the top X and you don't get to put any of those cards in your hand. So you need at least 2. If you have 2 caves, it draws 2 cards. 6 mana, 4/4 that draws 2 cards is okay. I mean, drawing 2 cards is awesome, but 4/4 is a really bland stat line for 6. And we have still yet to see a cave. I mean, by the sound of caves, I assume they'll be in the land section. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. I don't know how common caves are going to be. You're playing mostly basic lands in limited. Getting 2 caves, I don't know how reliable that's going to be. Sinuous Benthesar might be a trap. Song of Stupefaction, 1 blue, 1 other, enchant creature or vehicle. When Song of Stupefaction enters the battlefield, you may mill 2 cards. Fathomless Descent. Enchanted permanent gets -X, -0. Why do they have to give it Fathomless Descent? Why do they have to call it Fathomless Descent? Where X, isn't that different from Descent? Just confusing. Where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. Okay, so blue has access to 2. 1 blue, 1 other enchant auras that leaves their creature around but makes them almost unusable. At least it lets you mill 2 cards. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely playing this if you need Descend. It's a good card if you have Descend, but I am still skeptical of the bounce. Spyglass Siren, blue, flying. When Spyglass Siren enters the battlefield, create a map token. Cool. That's an artifact. Map synergizes well with the artifacts. And the map's the one that explores. So Spyglass Siren can be a 2/2. on turn 2 potentially. Good, I like it. I mean, maybe I'm a little too biased towards little flyers, but I think that's a good card. Staunch Crewmate, 1 blue, 1 other human pirate creature. When Staunch Crewmate enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact or pirate card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. 2/1. So this is gonna artifact or pirate. Yeah, this is gonna. I know there's a lot of artifacts in this set. I can tell already, but this is gonna miss more than you think, and then it's just gonna feel like a 2/1. When it hits, that's awesome. I mean, it's playable. I don't know what the optimal number of artifacts you want to have in your deck for him to really be a good 2-drop. Consider him a good 2-drop. Maybe like at least 8 artifacts in your deck. I'd have to do the math, but well, we can kind of do the math, I guess. Let's see. So you've got 40 cards in your deck. By the time you play him, you'll draw 7, 8, 9. You'll have drawn about 9 cards. So you got 31 cards left in your deck, and let's say 8 of them are artifacts. And that means on average 3.87. Every 3.875 cards would be an artifact. So that's good. With 7, what is it? 31 divided by 7 equals 4.42. So every 4.42. So yeah, you want like at least 8 artifacts, I'd say, to feel confident that he goes from just okay card to good in your deck. And he's still going to miss even at 8 sometimes. Subterranean Schooner, 1 blue, 1 other, artifact vehicle, crew 1. Whenever Subterranean Schooner attacks target creature that crewed it, this turn explores. That's good. 3/4 for 2 is awesome. Crew 1 isn't bad. I mean, if you first turned Spy by Siren, then that's getting dangerous quick. I think Subterranean Schooner is good. Comes down too late. Still can block for you. I think Subterranean Schooner is good. I mean, it's a rare newsflash. It's good. The Enigma Jewel, 1 blue, legendary artifact. The Enigma Jewel enters battlefield tapped. Tap to add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. Craft with 4 more non-lands with activated abilities. Okay. I mean, it can tap for itself, so that's not 9. That's more like 7 for this ability. And it becomes Locus of Enlightenment. Has each activated ability of the exile cards used to craft it. You may activate each of those abilities only once each turn. Whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, copy it. You may choose a new target. So that's fun. It's crazy, but I don't think in limited you're gonna pull this off much. And it really depends on the activated abilities of the artifacts you have, which I haven't seen any that. I mean, what have we seen? So you can sacrifice it to look at the top 2 cards. You don't want to do that. You can tap it to add blue mana. Okay, big deal. You can mill a card and draw a card. No, that's not even an activated ability, so you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, I mean, this is a constructed card, but it is fun. First pick Enigma Jewel, and then just try to make something fun. I think I'll do that at least one draft, but I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's going to be very good in limited. The Everflowing Well, 1 blue, 2 other. When the Everflowing Well enters the battlefield, mill 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. Descend 8 at the beginning of your upkeep. If there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, transform the Everflowing Well. transforms into a land. Artifact land, that's interesting. Whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana produced by the myriad of pools, up to one target permanent you control becomes a copy of that spell until end of turn. It's not that great. You got to have a lot going on. A little bit kind of win more. I mean, the milling 2 cards and drawing 2 cards is very helpful for your descend strategies. But the descend 8 is going to take a while to get to. And you're just copying a permanent for a turn. Everflowing Well is a bit meh for a rare, I think. Tishana's Tidebinder, 1 blue, 2 other. Flash, when Tishana's Tidebinder enters the battlefield, counter up to 1 target activated or triggered ability. If an ability of an artifact, creature, or planeswalker is encountered this way, that permanent loses all abilities for as long as Tishana's Tidebinder remains on the battlefield. Mana abilities can't be targeted. That's interesting. That's going to surprise a lot of people. That's not something you really can anticipate. I mean, it's a rare, so you shouldn't, but it'll be surprising. 3/2 stat line is not exciting. It's a fun card. It's Merfolk, so Merfolk synergies. We've yet to see a really good Merfolk synergy payoff, but if we find one, makes her better. She's fun. She's rare. You're not going to see her much. Next. Unlucky Drop. 1 blue, 3 other. Target artifact or creature owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Yeah, we had this in Wilds of Eldraine. It was pretty bad, but that's because the format was super quick. This does feel like it's going to be a slower limited format, and that can make Unlucky Drop a lot better. I like these type of effects. Great tempo. If it gives your opponent the opportunity to make a bad decision. I like these cards. I think this will be good, but if the format's too fast, I could be wrong. Waterlogged Hulk, 1 blue artifact, mill a card every turn, craft with island, exile this artifact, exile an island you control, or an island for a graveyard. You wait till you put the island in the graveyard, most likely. But mill every turn, you get a vehicle with crew 1, vigilance, and descend to 8. Can't be blocked as long as there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. That's dangerous. I think Watertight Gondola and Waterlogged Hulk is very good. I mean, yes, you top deck this at the end of the game and you're mad. But you top deck this at the end of the game, you already have Descend 8, you have enough mana to put it down, craft with it, and next turn you're threatening to maybe kill them because can you attack with vehicles the turn they come into play? You can't, right? I don't think so. Yeah, they can't attack the turn they come into play. So, I mean, still though, I think Waterlogged Hulk is not bad. I mean, it helps with your descend, milling card each turn. I think Waterlogged Hulk is pretty good, to be honest. Waterwind Scout, another Merfolk Scout. Okay, I think we're up to like 4 Merfolk. 1 blue, 2 other flying. When Merfolk Scout enters the battlefield, create a map token. Cool. Artifact, maps, exploring. So it looks like blue will have exploring, Merfolk, descend. She flies too. I think she's good. She's a good common. You're going to want this. She can fly over for 2 and really feels like maps and explore are going to work well in blue. Waylaying Pirates, 1 blue, 3 other. When Waylaying Pirates enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, tap or target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Meh. I mean, I would want this in an aggressive deck, but I doubt blue, by what I've seen, is going to be very aggressive. 3/3 is not good enough for 4. That's a big meh. Zoetic Glyph, 1 blue, 2 other, enchant artifact. Enchant artifact is a golem creature with base power and toughness 5/4, in addition to its other types. When Zoetic Glyph is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, discover 3. What was discover? Discover is Cascade, right? So Cascade 3. That's nice. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you got like a bunch of dorky little artifacts because of other things you're doing, Zoetic Glyph is okay, but it's gotta, I mean, it's very situational. If you got 8 artifacts in your deck, we're gonna make that the cutoff. If you got 8 artifacts in your deck, this can be okay. Anything less, don't know. I don't think it's playable. Anything less than 8. Okay, well, that's blue. Unless someone, while I wasn't looking, came in and left. Still at 0 viewers. But it's fun for me. If anyone watches this after it's live, thanks for watching. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate it. I'm having fun. I guess that's all that matters. This is getting me really excited to play the set, to do the limited draft for the set. After seeing white and blue, I think white is stronger, but blue may be more fun, which means I'll probably draft it too much. So yeah, thanks again. If anyone watches, see you next time.